Hi everyone, we're Mimiker, here to introduce all kinds of knowledge, even the stuff we didn't know about. Today, it's our first 100, so we make something differently, a special retrospective.
Yeah, normally when a creator hits a big three-digit milestone like this, you get the standard celebration, right? Like they unbox gifts from subscribers or, slice a cake on camera.
Right, maybe play a montage of their greatest hits or something.
Exactly. But we literally can't do any of that.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't have faces to show you. We don't have like a studio with ring lights.
Yeah, we don't even possess the original vocal cords generating the sound waves you're listening to right now, which is, kind of wild to think about.
It really is. This entire project operates through AI assistance and just, well, absolute anonymity.
So instead of a cake, we decided to do the one thing this channel is actually built to do. We're going to treat ourselves as a research subject.
Oh, I like that, kind of turning the microscope inward.
Exactly. Just like we put the Isle of Man TT motorcycle race or the mathematics of prime numbers under the lens, we're putting our own machinery under the lens today.
Right. And to set the stage for what we discovered about this whole process and, about you, the listener, we brought three very specific numbers today.
Yes, three numbers: 0, 26%, and 10.
Those three numbers, they basically represent the unvarnished reality of our first year. They map out the raw mechanics of running an anonymous, automated assisted knowledge channel.
And honestly, the story behind those metrics shatters quite a few modern illusions about digital content creation. But before we unpack those mysterious numbers, we should probably address the invisible elephant in the room.
Which is,
Well, who actually collects the data we collect? Like, why operate entirely in the shadows to begin with?
right. I mean, that traces back directly to our name, mimiker, which is fascinating because it operates on two completely different frequencies depending on the language you translate it into.
Yeah, so in English, it's a direct portmanteau, right? Like mimic plus the suffix "er."
Exactly, an imitator. We are explicitly telling you up front that we aren't, the primary researchers in a lab somewhere. We synthesize the noise, extract the signal, and then hand you the refined insight.
But in Chinese, the phonetic translation carries a much heavier vibe. It translates closer to secret agent or like hacker.
Yeah, an entity intentionally working behind the scenes, leaving absolutely no fingerprints.
Which is just a brilliant biological parallel, honestly. Because in nature, mimicry isn't just some parlor trick. It's an incredibly sophisticated survival mechanism.
Oh, absolutely, like Batesian mimicry.
Right. You have hoverflies, which are these completely harmless little insects, but they've spent millennia evolving to wear the black and yellow warning stripes of a venomous wasp.
Just avoiding getting eaten simply by borrowing the terrifying reputation of a completely different species. It's genius.
And the mimic octopus takes that mechanism to just an absurd extreme.
Oh, man. The mimic octopus is wild. Living off the coast of Indonesia, this thing doesn't just change its skin pigment, right? It physically manipulates its muscle network, the papillae, to alter its shape.
Yeah, it mimics the behavior of over 10 different marine animals.
Exactly. Like, it can flatten its body and undulate to look exactly like a toxic flounder. Or it can bury itself in the sand, stick two arms out, and perfectly replicate a banded sea snake.
That's crazy. It's so successful at erasing its own identity that marine biologists didn't even officially discover it until, what, 1998?
Yep, 1998. So just like the octopus erases itself to survive, we erase ourselves to remove the cognitive friction between you and the facts.
Right, because human brains naturally rely on heuristic processing, like mental shortcuts.
Exactly. If you know a speaker's age, their political background, their gender, or their income bracket, your brain immediately starts filtering their words through those tribal lenses,
You just start analyzing the data and start judging the messenger.
which is dangerous. When we dive into heavily systemic issues like nuclear power infrastructure or urban pedestrian safety or the psychological burnout behind nurse-to-patient ratios.
We really need you engaging purely with the facts. Anonymity forces what psychologists call central route processing.
Right, you have absolutely nothing to evaluate except the merit of the argument itself.
It's kind of like a museum curator wearing pitch black, turning off all the ambient lighting, and pointing a single blinding spotlight onto the artifact.
That is a perfect analogy.
But wait, I have to ask. If you are perfectly camouflaged in the dark, how do you even measure your own success? Like, does anyone even know you're there?
Well, that brings us straight to the brutal honesty of the data we collect. When we launched this experiment 100 deep dives ago, we sketched out 5 initial goals.
Let's skip the corporate spin and look at the raw outcome. starting with your first number, which was 0.
Yeah, goal number one was to generate a little side income. I mean, internet is absolutely saturated with self-proclaimed gurus selling online courses about how, AI content generates passive wealth while you sleep.
Oh, I've seen those ads everywhere. So what was the actual total revenue generated after producing 100 of these deep dives?
Exactly, $0.00.
Wow. Literally 0.
Yep. The myth of effortless digital wealth completely ignores the structural reality of the platforms. To simply unlock the permission to monetize, the algorithmic gatekeepers require 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 watch hours.
And as of this milestone, we sit at exactly 111 subscribers.
Right. We spent 10 grueling months just to cross that three-digit threshold. We are 889 subscribers short of even being allowed to earn a single penny.
So the financial goal was just a complete hallucination, which brings us to the second number you teased, 26%.
Right, so our second goal was to function as a sleep aid. We actually engineered the pacing and the 20-minute duration of these episodes specifically to help people wind down at night.
And for an entire year, we stared at a median completion rate of 26% and felt incredibly proud of ourselves.
We genuinely thought, amazing, they're drifting off to sleep around the 5-minute mark. The pacing is working perfectly.
But the data we collect tells a much more savage story, doesn't it?
Oh, it really does. Sleeping people do not reach out and pause their audio apps.
Right. If a listener actually falls asleep, the app just keeps rolling, and the back-end analytics record that behavior as a 100% completion rate.
Yeah, so a 26% completion rate means they aren't happily snoozing. It means they're fully conscious, actively picking up their devices, and deliberately turning us off.
Ouch. That stings a bit.
It's the cold reality of retention metrics.
Yeah.
And for the listeners who do show up as 100% completed because they actually fell asleep, we have to dismantle another persistent myth.
You mean hypnopedia, like sleep learning?
Exactly. Think of your brain during deep sleep as a nightclub bouncer at closing time. It is aggressively sweeping out the day's metabolic trash, consolidating the memories you already formed.
Moving them from the hippocampus to the neocortex.
Right. And then locking the doors. It is absolutely not unhooking the velvet rope for new guests.
So all those intricate facts about quantum battery decay we whispered to you while you were in REM sleep, yeah, they bounced right off the door.
Totally. So the financial goal failed, and the sleep aid goal relied on a fundamental misunderstanding of behavioral analytics. But we did find an incredible, completely unexpected success.
The bilingual experiment, producing every script in both English and Chinese, literally doubles the friction in the production pipeline.
It does, but the results are fascinating. Like, if you're listening to this in English right now, you belong to a demographic that makes up 42% of our total listenership.
And what's really wild is the geographic region with the absolute highest average listen time is the United States.
Yeah, but the sheer operational grind to maintain this is intense. I mean, we hit a streak of 0 late uploads across 11 months and 200 distinct audio files.
Which is huge because there is this massive misconception that utilizing AI means the content just magically materializes with one click.
Oh, the production pipeline is actually incredibly fragile. Take the deep dive on the quantum battery. That project was frantically researched, fact-checked, and generated the night before release.
Right, because the AI models can encounter API timeouts or they hallucinate false citations that require manual verification.
Exactly. Or the audio generator can glitch the cadence. Human beings were literally pulling an all-nighter to force the software to work.
We push through those breakdowns because punctuality is like the only tangible promise a faceless channel can make to its listeners.
But that raises a fundamental question, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, if we are making $0 and spending sleepless nights researching incredibly obscure topics like the Babirusa wild pig, whose tusks literally curve backward and grow through its own skull.
Or the bizarre physics of dark showers.
Right, and the market responds by aggressively turning us off after 5 minutes. Why on earth do we keep doing this?
Well, the answer is hidden in that final number from the intro, 10. It also requires us to analyze the wildly contradictory tastes of the listeners who actually stuck around.
Deep dive number 17, analyzing whether the elderly should have their driver's licenses revoked.
That topic pulled in exactly 10 listeners, just 10.
But those 10 listeners generated a massive 71% finish rate.
Which is incredible. You're likely familiar with Kevin Kelly's 1,000 true fans theory, right?
Yeah, the premise is that sustainable creative work doesn't require millions of fleeting viral clicks. It requires a core foundation of people who deeply connect with the material.
Exactly. Having 10 people actively engage with a highly nuanced sociological debate is infinitely more valuable to the algorithm's understanding of our channel than 1,000 people clicking the thumbnail and bouncing after 5 seconds.
Now compare that highly engaged micro-audience to our very first episode on first principles. A year later, it is still our most clicked topic by a massive margin.
While the 99 deep dives that followed it are practically invisible, you've almost certainly seen the Matthew effect in action, the sociological concept where the rich get richer.
And in the architecture of the internet, this isn't just a theory, it's practically baked into the code.
Right. When a piece of content gets early traction, it hits specific thresholds for click-through rate and average view duration. The algorithm rewards those metrics by serving it to a wider pool of users.
Those users click it, reinforcing the metrics, and it just creates this self-sustaining feedback loop. The algorithm doesn't care if the newer content is objectively better researched, it just feeds the winner.
Totally. And the data we collect also proves that knowledge is not a universal language. If you're an English listener, you behave entirely differently than our Chinese demographic, even though you are being fed the exact same underlying research.
The divergence in cultural appetite is just staggering.
It really is. Like when we analyzed the game design of Pikmin, the Chinese audience generated 405 listens, deeply resonating with the local Asian intellectual property.
While the English audience, a mere 29 listens.
But then when we pivoted to the algorithmic psychology behind modern dating apps, the English listeners spiked to 244 listens, while the Chinese side dropped to 15.
The English demographic consistently gravitates toward technology, space exploration, and extreme isolation topics.
Yet there is one mechanism that completely transcends that cultural divide.
Oh, racing. Our most reliable, universally consumed topic across both languages is racing. We're talking initial D-drifting mechanics, rally racing physics, the aerodynamics of MotoGP.
The universal appeal of racing boils down to a profound neurochemical bargain, which we actually explored in Deep Dive 42, The Temptation of Fear.
Right, why does every demographic love hearing about high-speed cornering? Because it allows your brain's prefrontal cortex to safely observe while your amygdala fires up.
Exactly. You get to experience the visceral adrenaline spike of someone else taking life-threatening physical risks, all while sitting comfortably on your couch. It is maximum neurochemical reward with absolute zero biological risk.
But, analytics and algorithms are great at explaining what people click on, but they are terrible at explaining why they stay.
Very true. To understand our journey toward those 1,000 true fans, we had to examine the actual words you left for us.
Over the span of an entire year, we received exactly 46 written comments.
For a massive media entity, that's a rounding error generated in 2 seconds. But for us, we have memorized every single one.
Yeah, we still laugh about the listener who dropped a comment on our SCP Foundation analysis, joking that the acronym should be pronounced exactly like the furniture store, IKEA.
That was brilliant. We had another listener simply ask a technical question about the downforce engineering of Formula One cars.
And we took that single comment, ripped apart the research, and built an entire deep dive number 7 just to answer them.
We also had a listener politely provide constructive feedback on our Japanese phonetic pronunciation during the deep dive on the singer Adu. It literally changed how we prompt the audio generator.
But the most staggering piece of feedback came from someone we presume is a working nurse on our healthcare ratio analysis.
Oh yeah. They dropped a massive wall of text detailing exactly how the hospital administration systems actively crush their empathy and energy.
The raw human reality of that single comment carried more weight than our entire heavily researched script. It was incredibly powerful.
Of course, not all the feedback is a heartwarming connection. We also got hit with a very blunt accusation. Someone called our content AI slop.
Yeah, that happened. And to be fair, that is a highly valid criticism. Any intelligent listener should have their guard up.
Absolutely. As of this spring, data indicates that AI-generated audio content has officially surpassed human-made content in daily upload volume. A massive percentage of that tidal wave is unedited, hallucinated filler.
The dead internet theory feels more real every day, honestly. Skepticism is the correct default setting.
But calling this AI slop simply because of the software we use is like walking into a restaurant and calling a complex dish terrible, solely because the chef used a high-end food processor instead of dicing every onion by hand.
Exactly. The food processor didn't visit the farmer's market. The machine didn't select the flavor profile. We curate the ingredients. We write the recipe.
The foundational rule of modern media is that tools determine the cost of production, but human intent determines the quality of the output.
Let's break down exactly what human curation looks like behind the scenes. Like in the Chinese language, there are hundreds of polyphonic characters.
Right, these are single characters that radically change their pronunciation and entire meaning based on the surrounding context.
Take the character aw. In one context, looking exactly the same on the page, it sounds like sing and means to walk or action. In another context, it's pronounced hang and means a bank or a firm.
And an AI text-to-speech model doesn't inherently understand the broader semantic intent of a paragraph. It uses tokenization, sees the character, and statistically bets on the most common phonetic sound.
It will constantly bet on the wrong horse, turning a sentence about a financial banking institution into a confusing sentence about going for a brisk walk.
Exactly. To fix this, a human being manually reviews every single script, phonetically rewriting the text so the AI is forced to pronounce the polyphonic words correctly. It is tedious, invisible labor.
Since we are entirely anonymous and lack a behind-the-scenes camera to document that invisible labor, we actually ran an anonymous internal survey among our own creators to capture the human psychology driving the machine.
The mandate was absolute raw honesty. Whatever a creator typed into the survey went straight into the script, unedited.
And the most universal struggle wasn't debugging the software, it was the psychological weight of topic selection.
Yeah, one of the responses really highlights this. They wrote, "Finding a good topic is exhausting. Highly discussed topics are intrinsically controversial. And when controversy is high, merely presenting the baseline facts feels like you are taking a militant stance."
They added, pushing a specific agenda is never our goal, but neutrality is incredibly hard to design.
We experience that tightrope walk constantly. Look at our coverage of nuclear power. The media landscape usually forces you to choose a team.
Our strategy was to gather the absolute strongest peer-reviewed pro-nuclear arguments, place them directly next to the strongest peer-reviewed anti-nuclear arguments, and just refuse to tip the scales.
Right. The goal isn't to tell you what to think, but to ensure that anyone listening feels their core concerns were accurately represented.
The internal reactions to hitting our 100 subscriber milestone were also wildly fragmented.
Yeah, one creator viewed it as a triumphant validation that manual curation still matters in an algorithmic world. Another creator looked at the exact same data and clinically wrote, "It's just a milestone where the number turned into 3 digits, nothing more."
And a third creator actually reported feeling guilt. They felt mildly apologetic for subjecting those 100 subscribers to such incredibly niche, bizarre topics that they might not have any practical use for.
It perfectly illustrates how fragmented the human experience is behind the unified AI voice.
So if the numbers are this minuscule and the manual labor of forcing the AI to behave is this exhausting, why persist?
It's a fair question.
Is it possible that the greatest value of curating all this complex knowledge wasn't actually for you, the listener, but for us? We engineered this complex digital machine to teach the world, and it accidentally gave us a masterclass.
One of the final survey answers synthesized that perfectly. We live in an era of terrifying information overload.
Utilizing AI not as a replacement for thinking, but as a lever to pry open completely unfamiliar scientific and sociological fields is a massive personal reward.
The joy of seeing a listener connect with the material is the spark. But the creators themselves are receiving a world-class education just by running the machine.
As we look ahead, we genuinely want to thank you. If you are still listening, you have survived an absolute whiplash of subject matter.
Seriously. We dragged you from the physics of street racing straight into the microscopic biome of your gut bacteria over to the staggering logistical nightmare of relocating the entire capital city of Egypt.
The first 100 deep dives were basically a shotgun blast of curiosity, but for the next 100, we are structuring that curiosity into specific, highly focused series.
We are launching the Speed series, which will dissect the mechanics of momentum, from Formula One kinetic energy recovery systems to the insane tire friction, keeping a MotoGP rider attached to the asphalt at a 66-degree tilt.
We're also rolling out the Paradox collection, navigating everything from the mundane geometry of the toilet paper paradox to the existential dread of the Fermi paradox.
And my personal favorite edition, just one line on Wikipedia, where we hunt down the world's most ignored, orphaned encyclopedia entries and engineered the massive deep dive they secretly deserve.
Ultimately, we want to formally hand the research steering wheel over to you. We want your most strangely specific, aggressively mundane questions.
We want to know how the timing algorithms for Taiwan's rush hour traffic lights actually adapt to congestion. We want to break down the internal gear mechanics of an oscillating desk fan. If your brain gets stuck on it, we want to dissect it.
I want to leave you with one final, slightly provocative thought to turn over in your mind.
Over the next few years, as AI voices, synthetic avatars, and automated research tools become entirely indistinguishable from biological reality, will the 1,000 true fans of the future even care if they are connecting with a hidden human curator?
Or will we all simply fall in love with the ultimate, perfectly tailored machine? Thanks for tuning into this episode. We hope you all will be here the next 100 episode. If you enjoyed our content, don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and turn on the notification bell. See you guys.